Okay, welcome everybody to our fall 2023 Notice of Funding Opportunity for Affordable Housing. So as you guys are, please note that today it's going to be recorded for future reference. And then we will be doing introductions also of who's attending, so we can log that along with overviewing the staff that are here. And then again, it's going to be recorded. We did set aside 2 hours today to go over the various parts. We're going to ask for everybody to be muted while we're going over the slides, and then to hold your questions until the end of the presentation. And then we will please use the raise hand function or the chat option function to send in your questions for the later part. And then if you'd like to follow along, the overall application is available online on the county website on page 754 specifically. And the link is at the top. So to start out with, if we can go around the group and do introductions. If people attending could please provide your name and your organization, the county funds being applied for, and then the other county, other funding sources anticipated, along with your experience with NOFO applications and the combined funders application. So I am Mark Tingley. I am a capital grants management specialist in the Office of Housing and Community Development.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kellyvan. I am also a capital grants management specialist with the Office of Housing and Community Development, and I work with the NEBAs as well for the environmental reviews. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Jackie Anderson. I'm the Division Manager for Housing and Community Services.
And then we also have Erin, which is our HS1 and our community and Housing and Community Services team also.
And my name is Jeff Chandler. I'm Senior Housing Developer for Housing Hope. And we will be looking for the Snohomish County home, as well as potentially CDMH funds.
Hi, my name is Dennis McFadden. I started a nonprofit, Next Wave Housing, to provide affordable housing for people with disability. I've never applied for a grant, so this will be something new for me.
And then Kristen, if you wanted to speak next.
Hi everyone, this is Kristen Ely. I'm an administrator with Volunteers of America, Western Washington, just trying to see if this might be a good opportunity for one of our housing projects.
And then Sarah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Max. I work for the Housing Authority of Snohomish County, and I'm also here just to learn and see what funding sources are available to see what might be a good fit for the agency.
And then Lauren.
Hi, sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties, but I'm Lauren Pease. I'm from Housing Hope, and I am just attending to see if any of these might be a good fit for any of our ongoing programs or upcoming projects.
Great, I think I captured anybody. I'm going to give a moment though, just in case I didn't. We're good on this part.
Okay, this is Jackie again. I'm going to kick us off with some basic information about this funding round. So the home funds, the Home Investment Partnership Program, are federal funds, and these funds will be for program year 2024, which is next year. It also includes the Community Housing Development Organization funds, which is a subset of the home funding, and then the Chemical Dependency Mental Health Sales Tax funds. Those are local funds collected through a sales tax, the 1/10 of 1% sales tax. We have a portion of those funds that we use for affordable housing. We're accepting proposals for multifamily rental housing projects for both home and CDMH. Shelter projects are eligible for CDMH. Homeownership development projects are eligible under home. And then the Chodo Operating Support Grant is also eligible under home. And then the funds available, our estimated home funding is 1.181 million, 800,000. For the Chodo operating, it's 100,000. So that's a bit over 1.2 million altogether. And then for the CDMH capital funding, there's $833,379 available. And those are, for CDMH, those are actual funds available. For home, we won't know our actual amount until next year when we get our HUD award. And eligible applicants. So public housing authorities, nonprofit organizations, local governments for home only, community housing development organizations or CHODOs under the home program, and for-profit entities. And then some of the housing types and project types that are eligible would be permanent rental housing, transitional housing, acquisition of land and buildings, relocation costs if those are needed, new construction, site improvements, substantial rehab of multifamily housing, conversion of an existing structure to multifamily affordable housing, home ownership development activities under the home program, and shelter projects under CDMH. Oh, am I still going? Okay, I'm still going. All right. Capital multifamily rental housing projects, home or CDMH. You should select your application by the project types. So we have, these are all available on the website. So we have the NOFA and family checklist, multifamily application checklist and the instructions available for you. The combined funders application, that's used by funders across the state, affordable housing funders, the state and other jurisdictions use it. There are various forms that go along with it in Excel that will need to be completed. The 2023 supplemental addendum for multifamily rental housing projects, is that the CDMH supplemental, or is it our?
That's our standard.
Just our standard. I'm sorry about that. I don't usually do this. Haven't done it for a while. So that's our standard local supplemental for affordable housing. Then we'll need the environmental review information. That overview is provided for, and that's for home funds. You don't need it for CDMH funds. A relocation plan is required if you need to do relocation of existing tenants. And then there's a temporary relocation plan if it's a situation where you're just going to have to move some folks on a temporary basis. They're going to go back into the project. For CDMH, there's the 2023 sales tax supplemental application. And then for home ownership, you've got the NOFA, the checklist instructions. Again, you'll see a combined funders application for the narrative sections as well as the Excel forms. And then the Snohomish County home ownership development addendum that we gather some local information apart from the CFA. The environmental review supplemental, and then the relocation plan or the temporary relocation plan. So whatever applies to the project you want to apply for, you should fill out the appropriate forms. Shelter capital projects for CDMH. There's the fall 2023 CDMH shelter application, and you've got a checklist and instructions included with that. The 2023 combined funders application, the narrative sections, then the CFA Excel, and the supplemental, which is collects some information that our local sales tax board will take a look at based on what their priorities are for funding For the CHODO certification and operating support grant, there's an application there that you'll fill out. And, oh, you've got a packet for existing CHODOs or if you're a new CHODO.
Okay, so this is how the application review and funding approval process goes. We have the NOFO that was posted August 29th as available. Today is our technical assistance workshop. Thank you all for being here. And our application deadline is September 29th by 4 p.m. Then we will do our technical analysis of the projects that we receive and bring that to our CDMH board. Would you mind putting the screen down? After CDMH reviews, we take it to the TAC for review by October, November 23. Policy Advisory Board is done sometime early next year by February, March 24. County Council reviews the projects by May 2024. By July, we'll have HUD funding approval for the program year of 24 home funds. And by September of 2024, Snohomish County may start executing project contracts. So it's a good overview of how the process goes and the time that will be involved.
And I do see one question from Kristen, wanting to clarify, would transitional housing be considered under shelter?
That is a good question. I don't recall transitional housing being included under the CDMH. I think it was emergency shelter. We'll have to get some clarity on that. That's a separate board that is managed in a different division.
Okay,
So we'll post an FAQ with that.
Thank you for your question.
thank you, Kristen.
So some of the national program guidelines, uniform relocation and acquisition. If you need to do a relocation for a project that you're applying for, important to have all of that included. Site control and project readiness, the NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, and contractor selection and procurements. This is for the relocation. Federally assisted projects are subject to the Uniform Relocation and Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. So the URA, a position of real property displacement and relocation resulting from the acquisition, rehabilitation, or demolition of real property for a federal or federally assisted project are subject to the URA requirements. Where possible, projects must be designed to prevent or minimize displacement of tenants. The URA requirements apply to any and all real property acquisition for a project that receives any amount of federal funding, regardless of whether the federal funds are used to purchase the property or for other project costs. Relocation requirements apply to any type of project or program receiving any amount of federal financial assistance that involves action upon occupied real property. No project involving displacement will be selected for funding without complete assurance of relocation compliance. Federal funding for acquisition or rehabilitation of occupied properties, both residential and commercial, where tenants may be displaced, all require a detailed relocation plan. If temporary relocation is required for the project and tenants are temporarily relocated off-site, a detailed temporary relocation plan is required. A relocation plan template and a temporary relocation plan template are available to download as part of this NOFO and include links to resources to assist with completing them. Applicants should refer to this link that you can find also on this website that explains in detail what the URA requires. The NEPA, Environmental Review Supplement. Applicants should familiarize themselves with the timing issues and procedural requirements involved in the development of projects related to the National Environmental Policy Act. choice limiting activities and other requirements in uniform relocation and acquisition or other federal regulations that are required when projects receive federal home funding. There are regulations that may affect the timing or nature of site control agreements or acquisitions, contracting, cost eligibility, and other elements of project development. So you can refer to the HUD website, NEPA. It's implemented through the executive order, and you have some links there if you are interested to have a look.
Okay, so in terms of site control and project readiness, we do need you to provide evidence of site control for this. If you do not have a site, specifically, you do need to identify some potential sites within your application. And then to continue on with the site control, for the home fund specifically, there's no choice limiting action, so you cannot enter into a purchase and sale agreement until an environmental review has been completed. So you would want to instead, for those that have 5 or more units, to have an option to purchase for that site. Basically, that gives you the leeway in case something environmental, it doesn't limit it down to that specific project. For those with up to 4 units, you can use a purchase and sale agreement for that, but you have to have conditional wording regarding conditions that may be waived or not for that part. And then there is an option for a long-term lease. If you're looking into that, please reach out to us. We can give you more details on that part. But in essence, usually for our long-term lease, it's typically a 40-year period that's minimum from the time of completion. And then for the contractor selection and procurement, public agencies, sub-recipients, and their contractors are going to be subject to the federal procurement guidelines and 2 CFR Part 200. That's just to ensure that the procurement's being done competitively. I apologize. The individual that called in, if you can please mute your phone.
phone number just give me his phone number. Give me his phone number on my landline there.
1 minute. So the second part is each applicant is expected to include a copy of their procurement policy and procedures with their funding application. Prevailing wage if for the home program, if there is going to be 12 or more home assisted units, automatically triggers Davis-Bacon on that part. And then it's recommended to write your project meaning state prevailing wage under chapter 3912 in the RCW, because that may be applicable. If you need details in terms of what is considered prevailing wage, you would want to reach out to the Department of Labor regarding what requirements are applicable there. And then projects that involve rehabilitation or construction must comply with the requirements of Section 3 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1968, as it's been amended. There has been a final rule, so there have been some changes applicable on those 3 specific guidelines, hiring and retaining individuals that qualify as Section 3, and that took effect November of last year, I believe. And that was the general overview that we had regarding it. Did you have any other comments that you wanted to incorporate?
No, all good.
Okay, Jackie, anything? Okay, perfect. So I am gonna go back to the slides that have the various different projects. And then if you have any questions, please put them in the group box, chat box, or please raise your hand and we will go over those items. Just touching base if there's any questions that are popping up for anybody that we can answer for you at this time.
Hi, this is Niket. Sorry, I joined little late, and I want to get some understanding about the fund amount, like what's the maximum fund we can apply for.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Niket, and thanks for your question. Were you, the project that you were hoping to apply for, was it a multifamily?
Multifamily.
Multifamily, and
Yeah.
were you hoping to apply for home and CDMH funds?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you are allowed to apply for the maximum for that. So for the capital, that would be the 1.181 and $800. And the 833,379 for CDMH. With the home one, there is a it has to be allocated, so it only can be a proportion of those units. So if you are going over 12 units for that project, it will require that Davis Bacon. So you would want to make sure you're incorporating that higher threshold in terms of wages. But there,
Sorry, sorry, I didn't get the actual number. So we have the site. We have the site ML controlled, and then we got like around 12 units in that. So based on those kind of number, like how much fund would be like we can apply for. So I still you said something, but the number is not clear still to me.
So the maximum you would be able to apply for is the estimated available funds for it. So when we go through our process, right now, this is the anticipated amount, which is the 1.18.
Okay.
For home, specific for multifamily and housing projects. And then the 833 is for the CDMH. So those are two separate buckets applicable there. So when it goes to TAC and PAB, they review the applications. If there happens to be additional funding that's available from these estimates, typically TAC and PAB along with county council will make those decisions where those additional allocations were, or if there have been price increases.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Any other questions?
Is there any timeline for the execution of the project? Like suppose we are still in the process of applying the permit. So Is there any timeline for if you get the fund, then any timeline for execution of the project?
Yeah, for CDMH, they have to be committed within 2 years. So since these are 2024 funds for home, they would have to be committed by the end of 2026.
Got it. Thank you.
On that part. And then there is a 4-year project completion when the project has to be closed out with HUD.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question in the chat from Dennis. Can the home ownership development project be used to develop larger apartment complexes?
Yes, yes. Let me double check one item really quick.
Yeah, Deborah's not here.
Because Deborah
Deborah's
May
not
is
here.
our primary contact for the homeownership development project, so give me one moment. So we will have to post that question in the FAQ follow-up for this in terms of the home ownership development projects, that they can be used for a larger apartment complex. I'll touch base and then we will be publishing that response. Also, just some reminders when you're submitting your application, please, a lot of them are like the Excel spreadsheets for the combined funders agreement. A lot of them are locked down, they're password protected. So because they autofill into other sections. So please be mindful of that. And then please, a lot of these documents, like your narrative section when you're responding, please keep that in the format, and please make sure you're responding to all the items on that part to make sure it's a full application. Again, the application has to be received by our team on September 29th at 4 o'clock. You can either mail that in by that deadline to be received by, it has to be in hand, or you can drop it off in the lower level lobby of the main campus.
The Human Services lobby.
The Human Services
Yeah.
lobby on the lower level.
Yeah. Just in case someone goes to the main lobby.
We have someone new who's joined us, Jamie.
And welcome, Jamie, also. And I apologize, Nikki, for not acknowledging you coming in earlier. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I thought it started at 1:30.
It's 1 to 3.
Oh, dang. Okay, I messed that up.
But the meeting is recorded, so it will be published. So,
Okay.
oh, would you mind clarifying what organization you're with and what funds you're hoping to apply for?
I was hoping to apply for like a home mortgage, but I'm not really, I read on the website, but I'm not really exactly sure what, I was just trying to get a feel of what it's all about.
So these funds aren't for individuals. Were you thinking of a home mortgage for yourself?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought that was what it was for. Like you could apply. Maybe I'm mistaken.
No, this is not for funding individuals, individual.
Oh, it's for.
This is, yeah, this is funding organizations that are developing.
Oh, okay. I'm mistaken then. Thank you.
Okay.
And there might be other programs out there, like the City of Everett CHIP program. that you could reach out to regarding like home ownership options.
What was it called?
Depending on what area you're living in, if you're in the city of Everett, you may want to reach out to the community development team there, because they do have a home ownership rehabilitation program.
Okay, thank you. How do I leave? They're like, get off of our Zoom meeting.
So what was the Zoom meeting about?
I don't know. It was for like businesses or something. I don't know. Am I?
Are there any other questions? We might be done quite early here.
Maybe in the chat.
All right, I got a question. Can I make an application? Pretty much I have a nonprofit already started, but I don't have tax exemption yet. Can I go ahead and make an application? Without the 501(c)(3) yet, it will be pending.
Correct, because this allows for for-profit and nonprofits. You would just want to show your documentation of it being incorporated.
Oh, okay, that's not a problem.
I was just gonna answer the question in the chat.
And then
Typically, we do those as loans that can be forgiven at the end of the use restriction.
And that's responding back to Kristen's question about assistance in the form of a forgivable loan or standard grant.
Sorry, yes, thank you for reading it.
And then if you have questions also, you can reach out to our general team inbox, which is ohcd.funding@snoco.org for general questions and this technical assistance still.
Okay, I got a few more. Okay, so I have a nonprofit that I started. It's a Next Wave Housing that I want to develop a large apartment complex for people with disability, their family and friends. And I was thinking about these grants. Can I use these grants? Like I want to get a consulting fee from somebody. And also for operating expenses like printer ink and paper and stuff like that for outreach. Is this possible for that?
In terms of operating, this doesn't, it's for the actual like brick and mortar part of building affordable housing or rehabilitation. It wouldn't be for the operating income for a project. So that would be from like your tenant rents or so forth. With the combined funders applications has sections on how those what rents are allowed up to the maximum thresholds to show that documentation of how the project would be supported later on. But these direct funds do not include operating expense.
Oh, okay. And what about consulting fees to help design the project?
Design fees, I believe, are available for these funds. It would not include raising grant money. So if you had like a grant writer searching out other funds to make it fully funded, it wouldn't include those into this. So if it's services for engineering and architecture, those would be eligible costs.
Okay. Yeah, it would be a
Like
regular
raising costs and staff costs would not be included.
Oh, I see what you mean for actually finding the people. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Sounds good to me.
in the chat.
Okay. So I'll give it a couple more moments in case there's any other questions that pop up before we disconnect for today. But I appreciate everybody coming in. Again, you can reach out for technical questions at ohcd.funding@snoco.org. That is our team inbox for that part. In terms, there are a couple items. If it's relocation questions, you can send those directly to Deborah May. She is our contact on our team that does that part. And then Jen specializes in like environmentals, and I do underwriting along with Jen on that part, on the various things. But we will also be writing out these questions and then publishing them online.
Okay, I got another one.
Yeah.
So say I got a grant for consulting for next September. What if I got money before that? So what happens to the grant? Just goes away or what?
So you got a grant for consulting.
For
from
designing
another
a project.
source.
So in other words, if I got a grant in September for say
Mhm.
$30,000, that's about what it's going to cost. But I already got a grant before, like in June. What happens to because I only need one grant. What happens to the other grant in September? Does it just go away because I don't need it anymore?
On terms of the, sorry, I'm getting lost with the consulting part of it because we wouldn't cover consulting as an eligible.
Well, it's a firm that actually helps design communities.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
That's what I mean by consulting.
Okay. So for those items, if you had additional funds, if you didn't need to request, if you had another funding source and then you wanted to supplement these instead.
Well, if I got the funding source before this grant comes out, say I got the grant in September, but yet I got it in June. So does the grant just go away? Or can I repurpose it, or how does that work? Oh, you still don't understand.
Well, usually, so when developers fill out all the combined funders forms and fill out the budgeted items and what they expect to use the funding for, there could be some flexibility within that. If some other funding source covered some costs, this funding could potentially cover a different cost, but we have to look at that in detail, you know, because it kind of depends on what you're proposing doing. But there would be a proposed budget included in the combined funders application that we would initially start with.
Okay.
I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
If you haven't looked at the materials, it might help to look through the materials.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get a sense of all the different information that we're going to be gathering and using in terms of the evaluation and underwriting of projects.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Dennis. Perfect. So I don't see any additional questions in the group chat. I think we're all covered. So I appreciate, again, everybody attending, and then it will be posted online of today's meeting. And, oh, I apologize. Did I hear another person have a question? Okay, never mind on that part. So it'll be posted online for this recording and then also the FAQs for today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.